I'm a fan of decorative stitches, and I'm going to show you a couple things about stitching out your decorative stitches, which foot you should be using, how to create a stitch book, and the online course that I created all around stitching decorative stitches. And it is called our Stitching Cosmos online course. You can find more information in the description below. And we talk about sewing out stitches because they look so much different sewn out than just, say, pictured in your manual or pictured on your machine. Here we've even done with twin needle stitching, and the possibilities are truly endless. Here is what I call a stitch book, and again there'll be links below of what a stitch book is all about. This is from a different machine, but what you see is that you can really identify the different stitches and how they're going to look on fabric. And when you take the time to stitch out your stitches, I think you're going to be amazed. So on the Singer Elite CE677, when you open this up, remember you have two levels of stitches. You've got the upper level and the lower level, plus we'll do a video on the alphabets as well. So you've got lots of stitches to choose. When you do start with a stitch, so I'm going to just pick from menu 2, we'll just start over here at 06. All right. It is going to recommend a different foot. So at any given time that you are sewing different stitches, make sure you peek in this top corner. It has changed to the foot A. So the foot A that comes with your machine is a clear foot, so making your stitching easy to see, or if you're realigning or coming around a corner, you know exactly where you are before you get there. I love it. But the key is that there is a groove cut out underneath the foot. As the stitches form, some of these are very, very heavy or dense, and the stitches need a place to go. And if you just use your regular foot, can you see on the regular foot, there's just kind of this, it's cut out, but then it doesn't like continue. So heavy stitches kind of get stuck here, and sometimes look like they've kind of gotten mushed together. So that is a clear indication of not having the right foot. So as we switch feet, we will have better results no matter what we're stitching. There is a little groove down there. And then you do need to have some type of stabilizer. Usually a tearaway is good, sometimes 2 layers depending on if you have a little bit lighter weight tearaway. And you can also use, instead of your foot control to hold your foot down to sew and sew, remember you have a start-stop button. This button here you can touch and hold until it starts. If it's real fast, you can always adjust the speed, kind of find a happy amount for what you're working on. And then to have the stitch end at the end, instead of kind of getting stuck, you know, wherever you stop, you can touch the kind of locking stitch. And what it'll do is lock it for you and end the stitch. I've switched to some variegated thread, so the stitches are going to start to look kind of fun. And what we can do is just go right down the row. I'm going to go 07. And another thing to do, if you have the pattern end button on, that's the one over here just above the needle up down button. That way, and I spoke incorrectly at the end, when I pushed the locking stitch, it just locked right when I pushed it. But now with this feature on, let's go ahead and stitch. I'll touch and hold so I don't have to hold my foot on the foot control while I'm talking. I like to just run the edge of my presser foot right along the previous row of stitches. And now when I touch the locking stitch, you'll notice it won't stop until it actually gets to the end of the pattern. And this one was kind of like a little bit of a kind of a scallop here. So it finished the scallop and then stopped. So you do have to activate that pattern end. Then when you have the use of the locking button, it finishes the stitch. So what I do for a stitch book is just continue on. I'm going to jump over to a different stitch. How about 46? And then touch and hold. But you probably want to do them in order, but I just thought, oh, this will be fun. Some stitches are going to take longer to stitch than others. So this is a great way to kind of know, oh, that stitch is going to take a lot longer time. Some are much quicker, so if you're looking for a quicker stitch, that is something to just be aware of before you just randomly pick a stitch and go. So once again, if I want to have it end at the end of the pattern, I'm going to stop it a little bit sooner here. I'll just push it Oh, actually, I was right at the end, so that was it finished. So sometimes you're right at the end, sometimes it had adjust. Oh, that one's really pretty. That one, see, always. You always get to see a look of a stitch. It always looks so much prettier stitched out. Here's a perfect example of that. The other thing I was noticing is that this stitch came up at 6 millimeters wide. This machine's maximum stitch width is 7. So I'm noticing some of these stitches can actually go even wider. They're just not saved at the widest setting. Most decorative stitches will be. Let's do like 22. Yep, you see that goes up to 7. But if you would like a little wider, just see if that number is less than 7, and then know that you can increase it. So you can decrease it, and you can change the length or width, and actually kind of spread out a stitch, make it wider. Maybe you do need it more petite. You could reduce it down and kind of make it shorter and make it like a mini version of that stitch. So just know that that's why I get excited about stitches, decorative stitches, and even playing around with your alphabets and your punctuation. You've got all sorts of ways that you can combine them in with the memory of the machine here. So we will do that and check out that video if that is something that you'd like to maybe do a quilt label with, and know that you can combine alphabets. It's kind of nice to be able to personalize your finished project with sewn stitches and alphabets. So check out those links below. Again, there's free videos that you can watch if you are curious about the Stitching Cosmos online course and get started with that. We have a complete playlist of all the Singer videos that we have made. Do keep in mind, if you've got a Singer that's a different model number, you'd be surprised of how often the machines are similar from feet to stitches, and the way they perform will be very similar to these videos that we're doing on the Singer Elite CE677.